everyone. This is Lucy and Titus.
Hey guys, just wanted to say hi.
So this is actually one of my favorite episodes in the show. There's a lot of other stuff that kind of like maybe beats it out, I guess, a little bit. But if you were missing Cooper in the last one, you're going to get a lot of Cooper in this one. You're also going to get a lot of the creepy revelations that Vault 4 has. And a lot of it is it's very disturbing. I don't know if I can show a lot of it. I'm going to absolutely censor some of that. But yes, it's going to be interesting. And I guess before I continue, I need to thank you guys for the big response I got in the last video. You guys left a lot of very positive comments. You know, there's a lot of like good discussion going on, you know what I mean? And basically we got like a lot of subscribers, way more than I thought we would get. So yeah, again, just thank you all for that big response. That means a lot to me. This is a flashback to where before the bombs dropped and Cooper's like doing an ad for Vault-Tec. It reminds me of Rod Sterling in Twilight Zone.
It has patterned itself after every dictator who has ever planted the ripping imprint of a boot on the pages of history since the beginning of time.
And he has a quote in here where it's like, this is a veritable Camelot of the nuclear age.
A veritable Camelot of the nuclear age.
That's a good line. I love that. But basically, he's showing out a vault and he's trying to sell vaults to the people. You know, that's the purpose of this ad. Specifically, it's Vault 4, and Vault 4 is going to be the main focus of this episode.
What a beaut she is.
And you got to listen to what he's talking about here. Like, he mentions later on that, okay, the people currently living here, they're doing a test run of like 5 years. It is a community of scientists, and there's going to be a vault entirely governed by scientists. And this is another one of Vault-Tec's like crazy experiments. Like, how well would that work? Because like some people, you know, they have that thought, right? Where it's like, well, scientists are supposed to be the best and brightest among us. So what if they just governed everybody, right? This is what Vault-Tec's going to find out. And it's like, well, no, it's not going to end very well. I can say that much. And actually, there's a callback to episode 2, I believe, with the Gulper. He comes back in a big way. Literally just.
No, Lloyd and Cassandra here are both scientists, specializing in the effects of radiation on human DNA.
At Vault 4 initially anyways, right? It's composed of scientists governing and their families. So there are some like normal people there. We'll see how that community works out in that particular situation, because I have a feeling it's not going to work out very well. But okay, this is the part that's interesting, and I wanted to get to this really quickly because it's kind of cool. There's a phone number that Cooper says that you should dial to like sign yourself up to get in the vault, to be protected by the nukes, whatever. I'm not paid by them.
And now you can be a hero too, by purchasing a residence in a Vault-Tec vault today.
And it's a cool Easter egg because you can text and you can phone that number. If you text that number, it just says something like, thank you for texting Vault-Tec. The next available appointment is in 33 weeks from now. You'll just get that message by. But if you choose to phone it, you get something very weird. Did I just zoom out? The f happened here? Oop, 1 second. How dare you zoom me out? But yes, if you phone the number, you get somebody screaming. You get somebody screaming for like 18 seconds, I think it was. And I listened to it. It's a little disturbing. It's a little, I think that has to do with this episode in particular. But if you want to hear it for yourself in a more intimate way, you can always phone it. No, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to phone the number, but you could.
And cut.
That was a great take. You happy?
Like he looks at the Vault-Tec guys behind the glass. And I love how Vault-Tec is just portrayed as the most like nerdiest people. Like they don't seem like they're inherently evil. They're just kind of like, yeah, that was great, Cooper. Nice job.
Mr. Howard, great work today.
Thanks.
Bud Askins, and you're going to hear that name a lot. He shows up and he wants to talk to Cooper like so badly. So he says that he's from like West Tech, who then he like migrated to Vault-Tec after a like 10 years of working at a West Tech. And he helped facilitate the production of T-45 power armor, I believe. And it's the same ones that Cooper used.
You know, the design flaws were ridiculous, but they sure looked great.
I wore the T-45 when we almost lost the great state of Alaska to the Reds.
So all you really need to know about West Tech is that they were involved in the development of power armor, but also the FEV virus, which is something I really hope they look into in the next season, because that would be fun. That would be so good. I love the whole like the master thing from I think Fallout 2 or 1.
Master! One able to survive, or even thrive in the wasteland.
I think Fallout 2, where it's just some guy that fell into like a vat and then he just became this blob monster. It's pretty crazy. And you could tell this guy, Bob Askins, is like a little nuts.
Because what is the ultimate weapon to destroy your competition? It's not outselling them. It's not outsmarting them. It's time.
all you have to do is outlast them. It's like, okay, there's something going on with Vault-Tec where they've got a plan, right? And obviously it's to survive the nukes. They may have actually had some involvement in those nukes. Cooper's like understandably a little creeped out by the guy. He's like, all right, buddy, you have fun with that. I'm gonna leave.
But what do you say, you and me? Knock back a couple of pina coladas by the pool.
There was like an after show party pretty much for the ad that Cooper recorded.
What up? A rap party.
And everybody is there. And when I say everybody, his house is packed. He pulls up a newspaper and he looks at it, and it's like a picture of him dressed in a vault suit. And you can actually see the amount of controversy that actually causes. A lot of people, I would want to say like even half of people in America are against Vault-Tec. Cooper mentions this later when he talks to a friend of his that this has actually caused him to lose out on gigs, right? But I mentioned this newspaper because when he sets it down, you can see that it says the Reds are losing territory. And that's something you got to keep in mind is like during all of this, all of the rich people partying and having fun, there is a bloody war going on out there between like mostly China and America, but like there is a lot going on. I think at one point America annexes Canada, and as a Canadian, I don't know about that. I guess so. I guess you could have us. But here's a cool thing. This is a pretty cool, like this is not even the best part of the episode, actually. There's a lot of stuff that happens in this episode. Cooper talks to Codsworth, the voice for Codsworth, and it's portrayed by Matt Berry. I know him mostly from What We Do in the Shadows. There was like a television series or a movie or something I watched. Like, it was good. He did a good job. Does a good job here too. I think he actually voices the Mr. Handy in this show as well. He's not the original voice actor for Mr. Handy. I don't mind it personally. And you see him like talking to some people. He's like, hey, I can do the Mr. Handy voice. Do you want to join me in the hot tub later? And they're like, I don't know about that.
Party in the hot tub. What do you think of that?
Oh, no.
No?
No, thank you.
Okay.
But Cooper comes by and he's like, you can tell that they're good friends. And you can also see that Codsworth, I can't even say it, Bartholomew Codsworth, that's his full name. The actual character's name is Sebastian Leslie or whatever, but I'm going to call him Codsworth. And this is where Cooper mentions that he lost a role because the people there were very against Vault-Tec.
I lost a movie over these ads. Yeah, I showed up set. The actors wouldn't come out of their trailers. Lonnie Lewis said it was on moral grounds.
And Codsworth mentions a character that's going to come up later, I think later in this episode actually. Basically, he has turned very against Vault-Tec, and they kind of insinuate that he's a commie now, right? And you're going to hear that a lot. It's anybody that's against the Vault-Tec is pretty much like against America.
I'm telling you, radicalism is sweeping through Hollywood.
What's funny is like he's like, how much money do you think I made from selling my voice to Vault-Tec? And Cooper's like, maybe like 10 million.
10 million?
He got 180, and he got a Mr. Handy robot, which, let's face it, Mr. Handy robots, that would be awesome to have. Come on. Imagine having a Mr. Handy robot in your house. Who wouldn't want that? But for him specifically, I could see why that'd be a problem, because he would go home and he would hear his own voice talking to him, asking him if he wants things, right? He says something that sticks with Cooper and actually plays into his character arc before he becomes a ghoul monstrosity and big evil bastard. Codsworth says to him, the end of the world is also a product. And it's that kind of mentality that Vault-Tec pretty much has. You can see it in Bob Atkins. You can see it in Codsworth, even though Codsworth is he's not that into Vault-Tec, but he's there. He's not against them, right?
To the future.
To the future.
Once he wakes up, you can also see a Mr. Handy that's damaged. It's been a while. It's been a little bit. So Cooper is rudely awakened by a lot of people that call themselves the new government. You destroyed a legitimate business in this area where that's absolutely not allowed.
Destroying a legitimate business?
Cooper is in no position to fight back because he is drugged out of his mind. Last time you saw Cooper before, in the future, he did all the drugs in the room. He was shooting himself up with everything.
Why would anyone do drugs when they could just mow a lawn?
And then he just watched some of his old movies and he fell asleep. So yeah, he's going to be taken off. We'll see him later. But first off, we got to go see what's going on in Vault 4. This is the same vault, remember, that Cooper was doing an advertisement for. The one that they said was full of scientists, right? That were going to govern the vault and lead it into a brighter tomorrow. Well, it starts off normal enough. They're taking care of Maximus because he has that just a scratch, right? And they actually mentioned that he had like an old rotten human tooth lodged in his body, in his arm.
You had a rotten human tooth lodged in your shoulder.
I don't remember when that happened, but that's pretty disgusting. I thought he was shot. Maybe they're shooting teeth at him. I guess that makes sense, right? So using actual bullets, you're just using like human teeth. It seemed like something the Fiends would do for sure. I'm insane. But Lucy is talking to this lady across the glass, and she gives off some very creepy vibes, like to something a little bit, I don't know, something's not quite right with her. She actually mentions that she is from the surface. She's actually from Shady Sands.
I was born on the surface. Oh.
And the bombs went off, and there were actually a lot of survivors from Shady Sands, actually. This entire situation is the tone, the vibes I'm getting from this is very disturbing, right? I wouldn't trust these people. I would question why they're helping us so much. And the fact that she says that, yes, you should be staying here a little bit too. They even say that they found Maximus's power armor, so they won't even let him leave at that point, right? And there's a shot where the camera is like slowly zooming out, and you can see that it says test subjects on top in bold letters. In a vault governed by scientists, you have a dedicated room for test subjects. There's just people and their families. Vault 4 has a lot of twists and turns. Like you feel one way, then you feel another. There's stuff that happens that it just still makes them, no matter what, a bunch of weirdos. But we'll get to that, right? We'll get to that.
We shouldn't be wasting time down here.
Like Maximus is on to them. He knows something strange is going on here, and he's very right about a lot of this. He's like, okay, these people are trying to trap us here.
No, they're not.
Lucy, of course, trusts vaults more than anything else. She grew up in a vault. She knows how it operates. Everything here is very familiar to her, except for one thing.
This is a cult.
Everybody's smiling here. To Lucy, this is not that dissimilar to a regular vault, like Vault 32 or Vault 33 or 31. All the vaults that she was a part of, pretty much. And yeah, I'm amazed in my last video how wrong I got the vaults. My God, so many corrections I had to do. But the creepy lady, and that's what I'm going to call her from now on. She comes by and she's like, hey, how are you enjoying everything? Our overseer would actually like to talk to you guys. And he comes on over. And if I was sitting down there and I was just looked up and I saw that guy, I would, what the fuck is this?
Titus.
Hey guys, just wanted to say hi.
And I want to watch the scene again because Lucy is understandably very shocked. This person is a Cyclops. He has one eye in the center of his head. That's a Cyclops. And I like it's funny because like he is very creepy looking, but he's like one of the nicest people there.
Just some housekeeping, a few things to be aware of. They're gluten-free, sugar-free, and lemon-free.
He's like, hey, if you guys want to use the foosball table, you got to sign up. If there's no pencil there, just come by my office. I've got plenty of pencils. All the while, he's like this one giant eye. And it reminds me of this sketch.
Find the light. Excellent. Chin up a little bit. All right. Beautiful, Taylor. Beautiful. Hey, the tool.
He says stay out of level 12.
Obviously, we'd prefer you not go there.
And it's like immediately that's setting off red flags. It's like, okay, what do you have down there? Probably where you keep all of your test subjects, right? And this is where we get a shot of like, okay, it's not just the overseer, it's everybody. Like there's people that have these blue caps on their head and he has a nose like right in his forehead. That's like Lucy looks at him and he's like, this food is so good. He's like breathing it in. I guess he enjoys the scent of food even double, right? Is that how that would work? You would just smell better? Or would it just be redundant? I don't know. Lucy sees that and she's like, She looks over there and there's another guy with another blue cap. I don't think he takes it off just yet. Maybe we'll see that later. But like, what is he hiding? What does he have going on?
Titus, I'm talking about his eye.
Lots of people have one eye.
Maximus is so unfazed by all of this. It's so, I don't know if this was done as a joke. He says something like, well, lots of people have one eye. And then he says, yeah, usually it's over to the left. It's just funny that he wasn't fazed by it. How bizarre it is that it's dead center. You know what I mean?
His was in the middle.
It's a little to the left.
There's also somebody, and I just want to mention this because it's kind of cool. When they're leaving the cafeteria, there's this woman that walks by that has like these glowing blue eyes. That's cool. I would love to have that. That's not like a genetic experiment gone wrong. That is sweet. Give me the blue eyes, please. Okie dokie.
You ever think about working somewhere else?
Maybe we should just forget about Vault-Tec. We should just like go find a ranch somewhere up north. He does not like basically his wife working at Vault-Tec by extension. And like when his wife puts on the Pip-Boy, he could see Cooper just eyeballing that thing like,
Oh, come on. You've seen these around.
He hates Vault Tech, and no wonder he hates Lucy as well. Like, Vault Dwellers are just like, it's complex. There's a lot of reasons Cooper would not like Vault Dwellers.
It guarantees us a spot in the vault.
We've got money.
One of the good vaults.
Interesting. So there's a good vault and a bad vault. That wasn't where did that come from? Cooper is like even more sus about this entire situation. We see on the TV there that they're talking about an energy crisis, a resource crisis, and that even allies are becoming competitors, and everything is just falling apart, leading to that intro scene that we got in episode 1.
Well, your communist meetings? Come on, man.
For this moment here, Cooper is kind of buying into the idea that if you're against Vault-Tec, you're against America. And like, he does talk like a not a communist. He does talk like an activist where they're like very passionate about some kind of subject matter, right? He's like, Vault-Tec owns pretty much half of everything, and the US government has like sold human survival. They outsourced it to a private company, and that private company has like a fiduciary responsibility to sell more vaults, which means they inherently want the nukes to drop.
Vault-Tec has a fiduciary responsibility to make sure that it don't work out.
Yeah, how are they gonna do that?
I don't know.
This is making too much sense right now. And they mentioned that Vault-Tec is actually $1 trillion company. Like, my God, how did Vault-Tec not be broken apart? How would they let a company get that big?
You should come to a meeting. You should learn the truth about where your wife works.
He's gonna be thinking like, shit, how can I say no to that?
Do you have a new assistant?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Cooper's then having breakfast with his wife, and they mentioned that their daughter is like singing to the dog.
No dogs in the vaults.
And that kind of like, Cooper is like, oh, really? And he's trying to be very subtle about it because she is a higher up in Vault-Tec. You know, he's kind of like, well, says who? Like, who's the one making the decision there? And she does give like a very reasonable sort of response. She kind of dodges the question a little bit. She says, dogs are an unavoidable inefficiency in the system. And just because they eat meat, right? They just won't work in the Vault Dweller environment, having any kinds of pets. And Cooper's like,
all I'm asking is, who decided that there were no dogs in the vault?
And like, he's asking very reasonable questions. It's hard to say, like, it's hard to talk about because it's like, okay, on one hand, it's the end of the world. And if you can keep some of your rights as a person, like, what are you sacrificing in order to survive in these vaults? And it turns out you're sacrificing everything pretty much. You're a test subject to Vault-Tec. And Cooper's kind of catching on to that.
Well, I think that is a relatively trivial concern, given the prerequisite conditions of us living in a nuclear fallout shelter.
And while she does put forth like a pretty reasonable argument about like who cares about the certain things you got to sacrifice, your family survival is more important. Make no mistake, she's pure evil, probably pure evil. She seems evil to me. And it's kind of cool that they expand on this a bit more and we get more details on how it works. There are like vaults that are management positions, and that's the one that she wants to get for her family and Cooper. And then there are vaults that are more experimental. They're there to figure out how Vault-Tec wants to control the world after the nukes, pretty much.
Yep. That's how a toilet works.
I never thought of that. Toilets.
That is one big pile of shit.
Kind of wonder how there is no plumbing, right? So Lucy obviously thinks that this guy, the overseer, is like irradiated. He got mutated by radiation and he's actually from the surface.
You're from here?
5 generations, and proud of it.
Huh.
He got mutated somehow, right? Maybe it has something to do with the scientists that were running the vault.
Well, these people, am I right?
He's a little intolerant of the refugees that are coming from the surface because they've got a lot of strange ways of thinking, I guess. And he cracks a joke about the bombing of Shady Sands.
But it's like you can't make a funny joke about it without offending these guys.
What was the joke?
I forget. All I know is it was a huge bomb.
So it's like, you know, this he's not a bad overseer. He has a good personality. It's strange that he's a Cyclops.
We believe that mutants have their place. It's just not here with us.
Maximus is doing what I would be doing in this situation. I would be standing, guarding my power armor. I'd be like, nobody goes near it. I'm actually surprised they even found it. Apparently this vault has like couriers in a way. They got like surface people that kind of explore around. And I'm surprised this vault is even still going on. Like, how have raiders infiltrated Vault 32, but they never infiltrated Vault 4? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that would be a prime target. But Maximus is like, oh, interesting. There's a lot of power going on here. And my power armor is missing a fusion core. And he asks somebody like, where's your power room? I'm just curious. I just want to know what's going on here. And he finds their fusion core eventually, and he's just kind of like flipping some switches. He's like, I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna take this right now. But he's stopped by the creepy lady, and he's just kind of like, I see you found our fusion core.
Some people who come here have a hard time adjusting to finally feeling safe.
And the only thing that pushes Maximus just over the edge to just give them a try is like the idea of a hot shower. What's a hot shower? You got to explain. But he goes to his room and he's actually given a Pip-Boy. I don't know what happens to his Pip-Boy. I guess he doesn't take it with him. But there's a welcome basket on the table. It has all like the modern like conveniences. There's a hot shower there. There's like a TV that's working, showing like a video of a waterfall, which I'm sure is like a strange concept. And Maximus, as you can see, is enjoying it. He actually opens up a can of caviar and he's like, interesting. He's shocked by the taste. I've never tried caviar. I know what they are. A bunch of fish eggs. I don't know if I can. There's this Futurama joke that is preventing me from eating caviar.
By the way, I took the liberty of fertilizing your caviar.
What was that? That's putting me off. That's gross. Anyways. This is where a reveal happens that has a lot of people talking. And if you have any strong opinions on this, please post in the comment section below. I'd love to know. Because this is interesting because it involves Fallout New Vegas. And it's something that it's a game I've never played, actually. I only played Fallout 3 a little bit. I would love to play New Vegas because I hear it's like highly regarded. And basically, Lucy enters this classroom and they're teaching a timeline of events. The initial bombs dropping, the formation of the NCR, and like a bunch of other major events. Then eventually the bombing of Shady Sands, and I don't know if this is the collapse of the NCR exactly, but like Lucy grabs this flag that's in the room. She kind of pulls it and it says New California Republic. That is a big reveal. They even play some music from Fallout New Vegas. I'm pretty sure that's where it's from. It's very noticeable music from Fallout, and I appreciate that. But, so here's the implication, right? So it says that Shady Sands fell in the year 2271, and the NCR, well, not the NCR, but the Fallout New Vegas game takes place in 2281. And obviously in the Fallout New Vegas game, the NCR is very powerful. It's a big organization. So how could the capital have fallen? Like, would this decanonize basically Fallout New Vegas? That was the question. That was the big uproar that happened. And it doesn't necessarily, like, you could have avoided this, right? You didn't need to do something, especially on just the timeline thing. Like, you could have had Shady Sands fall a bit into the future than this, or just have your TV show take place a bit more in the future as well. Or there's a lot of options you have here. But as messy as it kind of is, it still sort of works out. Their capital falling, Shady Sands, yes, that would be quite a problem. However, and bear in mind, I never played New Vegas. I don't know if Shady Sands appears in New Vegas, because that would kind of like completely destroy my theory here. But like, the NCR could still be around and as powerful as it is in New Vegas, regardless of their capital kind of getting destroyed. They could have rebuilt it, or they could have just moved on to a different city. It would be a devastating blow, no doubt, but they could feasibly recover, right? Who knows, right? There's a lot of theories. Post your theory in the comment section below. I love this line, by the way. They say this guy is the
president of the government you're talking to.
It's like, that sounds so stupid. It sounds so ridiculous. But this is clearly somebody that Cooper knows pretty well. And he's probably known him all his life because Cooper's like 200 years old.
You a president now.
And Cooper doesn't give a damn about anybody in this room.
Maybe. You're still looking for her.
And this is where we're starting to get into like why Cooper is still chugging along 200 years out after the apocalypse, pretty much. When I saw this scene, I was immediately thinking her was Moldaver. That's not necessarily who he's looking for, because it's like he could be looking for his wife. It could be looking for his daughter. Because if they were thrown into a management vault, I mean, I guess I'll have to get into it a bit later as to what that truly means, right? Okay, and this is the scene that's very, very, very disturbing. In a lot of ways, I guess. There's also this situation here that I think might be explained later, but I'm not too sure. Lucy is involved for, she's attending a ceremony that apparently was started by surface dwellers. Everything seems normal. Everybody's taking off their Pip-Boys. They're putting it on like a bench or something, and Lucy takes off hers. And here's my Pip-Boy, by the way. Pretty sweet. They're like making weird noises. They're starting to go like this. Like, listen, if you're with any kind of group of people and they all start like going like this, I think it's time to leave. I think you gotta go. So Maximus was very right about how culty this goddamn place is. It's pretty bad. And they actually start talking about Shady Sands.
We bring back Shady Sands.
And you can see that Shady Sands is incredibly important. And this ceremony, I feel like, is pretty recent, as recent as the falling of Shady Sands was, because clearly a lot of refugees from Shady Sands came to Vault 4, and because of the trauma that they went through, they started pretty much this cult, right? And I guess the Overseer and all the other like Vault-born dwellers, I guess, they sort of tolerate it. They're saying something like, to bring back Shady Sands, blood must spill. And there's like people, like at this point, they're disrobing, they're taking off their clothes, and they're like pouring blood. They're just drinking blood. It's just like, okay, you know what's funny? At this part, Lucy is like, okay, yeah, everything's pretty much okay. Like, she's a little shocked, but she's still going along with it. She grabs like this thing, and she grabs a little bit of like dust or something like that. It's just like putting it on her head. And it's like, I'm amazed by this point. She's still like, yeah, this is pretty normal. This is pretty normal stuff. I'm gonna try fit in. That's so bizarre. But yeah, no, once they mentioned that this is actually the ash of people from Shady Sands.
By covering ourselves in their ashes.
That's when she draws the line, and she's like, okay, a little weird, actually. And then we get this is where the big reveal happens. And I like how it's done, because it's cutting back and forth between Cooper like 200 years ago and Lucy now in Vault 4. And they're both meeting the same person at the same time. They're meeting Moldaver.
The Flame Mother.
They call her the Flame Mother. And you actually heard that name from the president. He actually mentioned it when he was talking to Cooper in the previous scene. And at the same time, Cooper is meeting with current day, I guess, sort of modern era Moldaver, before she somehow survives 200 years. There's a couple of ways that could happen, and I guess we'll talk about it when we actually meet Moldaver. But yes, this is the big shock, is like, okay, this person is like incredibly powerful. She's like a godlike figure to the people that survive Shady Sands.
You were right about this place.
No.
And we're getting close to a scene where I don't know if I can even show it. Like, I already can't show a couple of these things. I got to censor it a little bit because it contains some stuff you can't really see on YouTube. But Lucy's like, yeah, we need to get out of here. Like, them bathing in blood and drinking it and disrobing and worshiping the Flame Mother is all okay. They're like wiping the ashes of people on their face. We need to leave. And Maximus is just, he's loving the place. He's not going anywhere. So Lucy has to prove to Maximus that this Vault 4 is dangerous and we got to go.
Check this out. These are called oysters. You want one? They make you feel so good.
So she decides to go to level 12. And level 12 is where all the fun happens in Vault 4.
They gave me a robe and slippers.
And one of the first things we see is something that Lucy's actually a bit familiar with. We see the Gulper. The Gulper makes another appearance, except this one looks a little dead, I think. Or that's the guy with the little fingers on his tongue. And we see one of the most horrifying scenes, I think, in this entire show so far. There is a season 2 coming, where Lucy plays this tape, and there's this woman tied to a bed that's slightly underwater, and she's giving birth to a bunch of fish, and the fish are like piranhas, and if that's not disturbing enough, they eventually start eating her once they're out, and she's just like screaming, and it's just like, and I like to think that those fish are like baby gulpers, like, because the gulpers have human qualities to them. They've got like human fingers. This is clearly where all the gulpers come from. They emerge from Vault 4, I guess, like deep underground. I think it's connected to a lake system or something. Also, I want to mention this before, because like I get back to Maximus for a brief moment. I feel like the show's doing, like, I swear Maximus is more smart than this. Like, well, more smart. I swear he's more intelligent than this. They're doing him dirty, I think. Like, he has a line where like Lucy's like, okay, this vault is dangerous, we need to go. Like, you think that somebody of rational thought like Maximus would be like, okay, what's wrong? What do you mean? But instead he's like, they gave me a robe. They gave me slippers. It's like, did they take away your brain cells as well? I don't know. Anyways, I just want to mention that because that's I feel like they're doing a joke with Maximus, but also they're kind of undercutting Maximus as a character in some ways. I don't know. It's a little strange. He does come to his senses eventually. But anyways, back to this very disturbing situation Lucy's in. There's a lot of other tubes of people in it that seem to be pregnant, and I'm going to assume they're pregnant with a bunch of fish. And it's just like, oh my God. Then there's this guy that walks in the room, and he's kind of like worried that it's like, okay, the door was open. I was worried that you actually got out. And he's talking to like the person that's unconscious in stasis in one of these tubes. And he noticed it. Like there's a sound that happens, and I'll play it. It's like a squeak of Lucy's shoe. And it's so like, I know it's noticeable. It's not exactly quiet, but at the same time, I feel like that's not enough to have him like trigger the alarm.
Hello?
I feel like normal movies and TV shows would be like, okay, what was that sound exactly? Let me look around here. But no, it's like, was that a squeak? Oh my God, let's trigger the alarm. Let's interrupt that rave party that they're having upstairs. There is an explanation for Vault 4 that happens in the next episode. And it does explain a lot, but there's still a bunch of weirdos because of that ceremony. That's all I'm gonna say is like, if you're having that rave situation, that I don't think so, man. But during this fight, Lucy, she does something that I guess she actually mentions in a later episode that she kind of regrets. She grabs a vat of acid and chucks it at the guy's face. It's like, oh man. Ooh. But she's basically captured, right? Like she's not escaping. A bunch of vault dwellers rush her, and she takes out a couple of them. But somebody pointed this out, and it's true. I've been giving all episodes a 9 out of 10, and it's like, yeah, I guess that's true. I know I want to deviate from that. Let's see. If I were to rate this episode, and please post your ratings in the comment section below. I want to know if you guys enjoyed this episode or not. There's a lot of fun, disturbing stuff that happens in Vault 4. There is a revelation that also happens there about the New California Republic that got a lot of people talking online at the very least. You know, whether you like it or not. Cooper, there's this revelation. We got so much more Cooper here. So if you're a Cooper fan, like all the modern era stuff, or I guess the past stuff, I don't know how you want to talk about it because it's not technically modern, but we get more world building with the Vault Tech and like the controversy that Vault-Tec has, basically the uprising and all of that, the people that oppose Vault-Tec. We get Codsworth showing up, and that's pretty cool. So it's like a lot of stuff happens in this episode. This is a good episode. I want to give it a 9 out of 10 like I always do, but I'm trying to be different. I'm gonna go like a 9.5 out of 10. It's a good Fallout episode. I liked it. Compared to the last one, it is better, and it's only going up from here as all the foreshadowing that I'd like to mention is all gonna be revealed. It's all gonna just unveil itself. Most of it anyways, not all of it. And that's why I'm glad season 2 was greenlit, because you very much need that. But yeah, that was Fallout episode 6 of season 1. Really good episode. Let me know what you guys think about in the comment section below. And I just want to, like, I mentioned this in the intro, but like, thank you all for watching, of course, and subscribing and liking the videos. The last video got a lot of positive comments, a lot of likes, a lot of people that seem to enjoy the content, the breakdown. So if you have any like recommendations on how to improve it, I know some of you mentioned the background music was a bit loud, so I'm going to lower it a little bit in this one. So yeah, but as always, if you have any like recommendations for other things you want me to check out or talk about, like maybe I'll try Fallout New Vegas before season 2 comes out so I get more of the references. But yeah, though, that's pretty much it. Like I look forward to watching the next episode. So again, thank you all for watching, and have a nice day, I guess. Yeah.
People got their eyes on you. It's compelling, yeah, me.